Chris here, and welcome to my channel. Today, we're going to play Phase 10 Chooses My TBR. If you're new to my channel, Phase 10 is a TBR game that I created based on the card game Phase 10. I will link the playlist in the description below if you want more details about how I play. I usually forget to mention this, as for some reason it slips my mind, but I have completed my TBR for the month of May, so I will not have any punishments going into June. I will also still be doing Buzzword-A-Thon and Witchlands Along, and the information for those will be linked in the description below, and you'll hear about those books later, as I'm obviously going to be trying to get them on my TBR. Also, I'm participating in Whatever-You-Want-A-Thon, which is hosted by Maddie from Book Browsing Blog. It is a month-long readathon, and the idea is to read whatever you want. There are 5 teams, and you can join whatever team you want, really, though you get bonus points if you read your team's genre. I picked the middle grade Monarchs, whose team hosts are Jade from JD Ray Reads and Gavin from How to Train Your Gavin. Our team color is orange, hence the orange shirt. And because our team genre happens to be middle grades, I will be trying to get as many middle grades on my TBR as possible. There's also lots of other ways that you can earn points, and so I will be trying to do that with the books that I choose. So if they're not middle grade, I'm going to hopefully be able to get points from them in other ways. I will link Maddie's announcement video and her FAQ video in the description below, where she will go into all of the details, and she will be able to explain it far better than I will ever be able to, because it is simple but complicated. And seriously, go watch Maddie's video if you want all the details, as I think she's managed to cover just about everything in those 2 videos. So now, let's jump into the game. So as you can see, the board's all set up. All of my extra cards that I've used already are here. This is my card pile. I've got my die, which I hopefully won't need to use. My extra prompts. As you can see, I still only need a 5 to complete this phase. We'll see if I get it in this month's TBR. Let's jump in. Ellie, you can't pull the phases, I'm sorry. Draw number 1 is a blue 8. And the prompt for blue 8 is paperback. So first up, I got paperback, and for this, I'm going to read Fantastic Tales of Nothing by Alondra Green and Fanny Rodriguez. This, I believe, is a middle grade fantasy, and it's a graphic novel, so it should be a quicker read. It says, "Welcome to Nothing. Despite its name, this is a fantastic land where humans and magical Vulcan coexist peacefully. At least they try. This is the tale of Nathan, an ordinary human, or so he thinks, living an ordinary life, or so he wishes. Everything changes when he wakes up in the middle of nowhere and meets Haven, a mysterious creature who is neither human nor Vulcan. Oh, and the 2 of them are being chased by Vulcan mercenaries, a grumpy wolf named Bardov and a delightful crow named Sina. Nathan soon learns he has mysterious powers, even though humans aren't supposed to have magic. Just Nathan's luck. But there's no time to dwell on that, because this discovery sets the group on a perilous quest across windswept terrain, through haunted forests and in ancient tombs. With the fate of Nothing resting on Nathan's shoulders, he and his unlikely friends must prevent an impending war and defeat a dark evil to save their land. No pressure, of course. If they fail, everything will turn into, well, nothing." So yeah, this is a newer graphic novel that I saw that my library had on its new arrivals page, and it sounded interesting, so I thought I'd give it a try, and it is perfect for paperback, and based on the description, it sounds like it's a bit humorous, so I'm curious to check it out. Draw number 2, Ellie. Try again. Draw number 2 is my 5, so I have completed my phase, which means I will definitely be going with the blue 1. And the prompt for blue 1 is published in my birth month, which is February. So next up, I got published in my birth month, and my birth month is February, and so for this, I'm going to be reading A Gathering of Shadows by V.E. Schwab. According to Goodreads, this was published on February 23rd, I think 2016, And that is actually my birthday. So it felt like I was destined to be picking this book up. This is the second book in the Shades of Magic series. If I remember correctly, there are 4 different Londons, and there used to be travel between the Londons, but now there's not, though I guess a few select people can, and we follow one of the people that has the ability to travel between the Londons. Interesting things happen to him in the first book. I've read a lot of books since I read that first book, so the details are a little fuzzy, but I'm assuming they'll come right back to me once I pick this up, and I do remember enjoying the first book, so I'm looking forward to checking out the second. Okay, so I have a completed phase, so give me a second, I'll be back with a fresh board. Okay, so we're back with our new board. The next phase is 2 sets of 4, and as you can see, I am a million years away from that, especially when I won't be able to use wilds to fill in my numbers, so at some point, I'm going to have to make a decision as to which of these numbers I am going to keep track of. I will probably end up doing more than one if possible. That way I have options. I also got a skip, which I believe this is the first time I have been dealt a skip. So normally when I draw the skip as a card, it becomes an extra bonus and I still have my 10 prompts plus a skip. In this case, I'm not even going to draw an extra prompt. I'm just going to play my skip. So like if I draw a card, I can play my skip and that will completely skip the prompt, meaning there is no chance for me to get a wild on that because I've just skipped an entire prompt. There will be no prompt chosen for that card. Hopefully that makes sense. So now let's dive back into things and we'll do draw number 3, which is a blue 7, which helps me absolutely 0. And the prompt for blue 7 is book within a book. Next up, I got book within a book, and for this, I'm going to be reading The Map of Stories by Anna James. This is the 3rd book in the Pages & Co. series. This is a middle grade. In this series, we follow Tilly, and she has the ability to travel into books and bring characters out of books to interact with in the real world. I am really enjoying the series, and I'm looking forward to getting to read the next book and seeing what adventures Tilly gets up to and what books she travels to in this installment. Draw number 4 is a red 9. The prompt for red 9 is randomize your TBR. So next up, I got randomized my TBR, and as you saw, I did it 3 times. The first time, I landed on Doggone It by Spencer Quinn, which was my BookTube spin pick. And originally, I had kind of penciled that in case I didn't get to it in May, but I did get to it in May, and that's why I spun multiple times in case I needed a backup. The first backup was a sequel, so I spun again, and this time I got Extraordinary Birds by Sandy Stark McGinnis. I do believe this is a middle grade. It says, December believes she is a bird. The scar on her back is where her wings will sprout, and one day soon she will soar away. It will not matter that she has no permanent home. Her destiny is in the sky. But then she's placed with foster mom Eleanor, a kind woman who volunteers in an animal rescue and has secrets of her own. December begins to see that her story could end a different way. But could she ever be happy down on the ground? And her arresting debut novel, Sandy Stark McGinnis, offers a heartbreaking and hopeful story about family, friendship, and finding where you belong. So this book definitely sounds like one that may appeal to me because I love kind of a found family, and it sounds like December may be finding a family with Eleanor once she meets her. So I'm happy with the book that Randomize my TBR chose for me. Draw number 5 is a blue 9. Just finish a series. Next up, I got Finish a Series, and for this, I will be reading A Conjuring of Light by V. Schwab. This is the 3rd book in the Shades of Magic trilogy. So when I realized that my birth month was going to allow me to read book 2, I decided why not keep it going and finish out the trilogy all in one month since I had to finish a series anyways. These are some of the chunkiest books I've got on my TBR, so hopefully I will be drawn into them and get through them relatively quickly. I believe they are Jade's favorites, and when you read one of the host favorites, whether they're your team host or not, you get bonus points. So I'll get bonus points for reading both of them, I believe. So even though they're not middle grade, they'll still get me extra points for my team. Draw number 6 is a skip. Draw number 6, part 2 is a 10. I will obviously be using that. And seeing as I am doing Whatever-A-Thon and I'm trying to read as many books as I possibly can, I think I'll hold off on my skip for now. And I will get rid of the green 2. I may regret this. Library book. Next up, I got library book, and I had plenty of options for this, but I decided to go with The Extremely Inconvenient Adventures of Bronte Metalstone by Jacqueline Moriarty. This is a middle grade, and it fulfills my buzzword prompt for the month, which is title or name in the title. So Bronte Metalstone is the girl's name, so that covers the prompt. I believe I heard about this book on Jade's channel. It says, Bronte Metalstone is 10 years old when a telegram announces that her parents have been killed by pirates. This does not bother her particularly. Her parents ran away to have adventures when she was a baby. She has been raised by her Aunt Isabel with assistance from the butler and has spent a pleasant childhood of afternoon teas and riding lessons. Now, however, her parents have left detailed instructions for Bronte in their will. Instructions that, annoyingly, have been reinforced with fairy cross-stitch, which means that if she doesn't succeed, terrible things could happen. She travels the kingdoms perfectly alone, delivering gifts to 10 other aunts, a farmer aunt who owns an orange orchard, a veterinarian aunt who specializes in dragon care, a pair of aunts who captain a cruise ship, and a former rock star aunt who is now the reigning monarch of a small kingdom. But as she travels from aunt to aunt, Bronte suspects there might be more to this journey than the simple delivery of treasure. So it sounds pretty interesting, and I'm very curious to meet all of Bronte's various aunts, because it sounds like they're going to be quite the eclectic crew. And I'm curious to see what she learns as she goes on this journey to deliver these items to her aunts. Draw number 7 is a green 11. I will actually hang on to that, and I will get rid of the red 3. And this prompt is Becca's Bookopoly. I will be using the board from Becca's Bookopoly-a-Thon, and I'm going to randomize a number to decide where I'm going to start on the board. So as you can see, I will be starting on spot 30, and I will go from there. I will be using this as my dice, and my roll is a 6. Okay, so I'm going to move 6 spaces, and that will put me on Friend Pick. I like that. So next up, I got Friend Pick, and I sent 4 options of books that I was hoping to get to in June to my friend, and the one she picked is The Witch Boy by Molly Knox Ostertag. This is a graphic novel. It says, even magic has rules. Everyone in Astor's family is born with magic. Boys grew up to be shapeshifters, girls into witches. No exceptions. But Astor can't seem to get the hang of shape-shifting. Instead, he spends his time spying on the witchery lessons the girls are getting. He seems to have a knack for casting spells and wants to know more, but the only person he can share his growing gift with is Charlie, a girl from the non-magical side of town. Then, during a night of shape-shifting practice, one of the boys goes missing. Astor knows he can search for the boy with the witchcraft he's been secretly learning. Could breaking his family's most important tradition save the day, or ruin everything? So this sounded really interesting, and I'm very curious to see what Astor is like, and I'm quite interested to see how Astor, spurning the gender norms that exist within his family, is handled by not just himself, but his family members and friends as well. And like I said, it's a graphic novel, so hopefully it won't take me too long to get through. And I'm really looking forward to it. Draw 8 is Wild. We will obviously be getting to that. Draw number 8, part 2 is an 11. I will definitely be hanging on to that, and we'll just swap out the red 4 since that's easiest. And for this, we have audio or ebook. Next up, I got audio or ebook, and for this, I will be listening to the audiobook of Every Heart a Doorway by Seanan McGuire. This is the first book in the Wayward Children series. So the Wayward Children series is like Portal Fantasy, basically kids who don't really fit in our world find doors that lead them to other worlds where they tend to fit more. And sometimes they stay there, and sometimes they end up back here. And when they end up back here, they often can't quite fit in. So they end up at the School for Wayward Children. I am actually hoping to listen to the first 5 books in this series on audiobook for Whatever-You-Want-A-Thon. They're all relatively short, and I love this series, and it's been a while since I've reread the first chunk of books. I read the 6th and most recent book a few months ago. So I don't need to reread that one, but it's been a while since I've read the other 5, so I'm looking forward to rereading them and getting to read them on audiobook and seeing what I think of the audiobooks. Draw 9 is a 10. Okay, this might be easier to complete than I thought it would be, because I am legitimately 1 card away. Low Expectations. For Low Expectations, I'm going with Hot Mama by Jennifer Estep. This is the sequel to Karma Girl, and I read Karma Girl in May, and it was alright. These are like superhero romance books, and I like the superhero aspect of Karma Girl, but I wasn't super into the romance part. So going into this, I have very low expectations. I don't anticipate that I'm going to like this one any more than I liked the first one, especially considering this book follows one of my least favorite characters from the first book, but I guess we'll see how it goes, and maybe because I have such low expectations, it'll exceed expectations. And draw 10 is an 11. I have actually completed my phase. I am stunned. This is normally a very tricky phase for me to complete, so I will go with a yellow 8. We have highest rated. Next up, I got highest rated, and for this, I will be reading Escape from Aurora by Jamie Littler. So this has a 4.56 rating on Goodreads, and that makes it the highest rated out of the books I own and my library books. Normally when I do this, I tend to only use the books that are on my shelves, but I had so many books out from the library that I wanted to read during Whatever-You-Want-A-Thon that I included them, and so this one won. This is the sequel to Frostheart. In this series, we follow Ash, who lives at kind of a base, and to travel between bases is dangerous, and his parents are part of explorers that go out and travel between bases to move like goods from base to base, and they left one day and never came back. So when the crew of the Frostheart shows up, he ends up going with them in the hopes that he will come across his parents. And this is going to be continuing Ash's journey. And this is one of Gavin's absolutely favorite series. And I love the first book. And I was so excited when I saw that my library had the second book that I immediately requested it from my library. And I am so excited to dive back into things and see what happens to Ash and his next adventure. So now we will do my wild roll. Here's my die. Whatever number comes up on the die is the number of extra prompts that I have to pull. And we got a 4. Wild 1, draw 1. We have blue 3, and the prompt for this is 5-star prediction. Next up, I got 5-star prediction, and for this, I'm going to go with The Sea and Winter by Christine Day. I loved Christine Day's first book, I Can Make This Promise, and I'm hoping I love this one too. It says, Maisie Cannon is having a hard time. It's been months since her knee injury, and her recovery process has been painfully slow. As a serious ballet student, Maisie is eager to rebuild her strength and get back to the dance studio. She knows all her ballerina friends are auditioning for prestigious summer dance programs while she remains sentenced to physical therapy, but the injury isn't her only problem. Maisie has been irritable toward her loved ones lately and can't always explain why. And as Maisie and her family set out on a midwinter road trip, her secrets and anxieties and dark moods start to hurt as much as the aches and pains in her knee. From the author of I Can Make This Promise comes a tender story about a Piscataway girl struggling to find her joy again and the family who will protect her no matter what happens. So I am really looking forward to this book. Like I said, I really, really enjoyed I Can Make This Promise by Christine Day, and I'm hoping that I will enjoy this one too. It also sounds like it's going to have some maybe mental health rep in here, which is one of the bonus prompts. And again, it's middle grade, so I get points for that as well. So when it came time to pick my 5-star prediction, there was no way I wasn't going with this one. Wild One, Draw 2 is another 11. At this rate, I may complete another phase this round, which is completely and utterly unexpected. You know, we'll stick you up here. And I will be going with a blue 8, because I'm going to try to save that skip. We have Random Page Generator. So next up, I got Random Page Generator and got 688 pages. I once again included my library TBR in this, and for this I will be reading Kingsbane by Claire Legrand. This clocks in at 587 pages, so it is the book on my TBR that is closest to 688. This is the second book in the Imperium trilogy. I read the first book in April, and we follow Riel, and then 1,000 years later, Eliana. And Riel lives in a world with magic where certain people have the ability to wield one of the 7 magics. But there is a prophecy that foretells that there's going to be 2 girls who have the ability to wield all 7 powers. And one of them is going to be doing it in a good manner, and the other one is going to be doing it in a bad. And Riel is somebody who has all 7 of those powers, which kind of comes to light in the first book, and she has to deal with the consequences of that. And we're also following Eliana, who's 1,000 years removed from Riel's story, and she lives in a world where that is just that, a story. Magic doesn't exist anymore in her world, and she's just trying to do what she can to take care of herself and her family. And I really enjoyed that first book and seeing the journey that both of the girls take, and kind of how, despite living 1,000 years apart, their stories are connected. And I'm really looking forward to reading book 2, even though it is chunky. But again, I believe Furyborn is one of the host fave, and if you are reading any book that is in the series of a host fave, you get host fave points, so this would get me extra points for host fave. Wild One, Draw 3. We have a blue 3. Lots of blues this month. This prompt didn't even get to stay up on the board long. Under 300 pages. Next up, I got under 300 pages, and for this, I'm going to be reading Brightly Woven by Alexander Bracken. This is a graphic novel, and it comes in at 165 pages, so definitely well under the 300. This was another one that was on my library's kind of new arrivals page. It says, from #1 New York Times bestselling author Alexander Bracken comes a magical graphic novel about discovering your own power. Extraordinary things just don't happen to 14-year-old Sidel Mirabelle, a talented weaver who dreams about life outside of her tiny village. But that all changes when a mysterious young wizard named Waylon North appears and asks for Seidel's help. He's got a shocking secret that could stop a war between kingdoms, if he can reach the capital with the news in time. He needs a navigator who can mend his magical cloaks, and Seidel is perfect for the job. As Seidel and North race against the clock to deliver their message, they must contend with unusually wild weather and a dark wizard who will do anything to stop them. But the sudden earthquakes and freak snowstorms may not be a coincidence. And when Seidel discovers more about North's past and her own strange abilities, she realizes the fate of the kingdoms may rest in her fingertips. So yeah, it's a graphic novel, and it sounds interesting, and it should be another quick read on my TBR this month. Wild One Draw 4 is a yellow 12. And the prompt for yellow 12 is ugly cover. And lastly, I got ugly cover. And I'm kind of bending this a bit because I don't necessarily think this cover is like ugly, but I have seen a different cover for this book, which I think is amazing and brilliant. And I like this cover so much less. And that is Spellcaster by Sebastian de Castell. So I will insert a picture of the other cover right here, and I much prefer that one to this one. So I don't know much about this. I just know that Jade from JD Ray Reads raves about Sebastian de Castell, and it's one of her favorite series. Again, I get bonus points for host fave. It says, Kellen is moments away from facing his first duel and proving his worth as a spellcaster. There's just one problem. His magic is fading. Facing exile unless he can pass the mage trials, Kellen is willing to risk everything, even his own life, in search of a way to restore his magic. But when the enigmatic Ferris Perifax arrives in town, she challenges him to take a different path. Daring, unpredictable, and wielding magic Kellen has never seen before, she may be his only hope. So yeah, I've been looking to pick this one up for a while. I think I requested it from my library like back in February, and it only just came in like a week ago. So I am really looking forward to this because, like I said, Jade raves about it. So I'm really curious to see what goes on in this book so I can see what it is about this book that has intrigued Jade so much. So, well, that is the end of my Phase 10 Chooses My TBR portion. I do still have Blood Witch by Susan Dennard, which I hope to get to, which is the third book in the Witchland series. I've been taking part in Witchlands along, and I've been really enjoying it, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in the next book. Another book I hope to get to is based on poll pick. I put a poll up on my Twitter because one of the prompts that you get bonus points for in Whatever-A-Thon is poll pick, and the winner was Lightfall, the Girl, and the Galdurian. I've seen a couple people talk about this graphic novel on their channel, and off the top of my head right now, I can't think of who they are, but they both said that they really enjoyed it, so I decided to give it a try. And again, graphic novels, quick reads, should help me get through some books in the month of June. I already mentioned that I would like to listen to all of the Wayward Children's books on audio. I'm just going to briefly run down the rest of my potential TBR books that I am hoping to get to if I have time this month. The ones for my Phase 10 TBR, my poll pick, and Blood Witch for my Witchlands along are my main focus. These are just ones that I am hoping to get to if I have time. So first up, we have The Dark Prophecy by Rick Riordan. This is the second book in the Trials of Apollo series. I have the audiobook out from the library, so I will most definitely be getting through this month. Another audiobook I have out from my library is Nevermore, The Trials of Morgan Crow. I love this series, and one of the prompts is a comfort reread, so I get bonus points for it, and I know Gavin loves it, and I believe it's one of his host faves, so I would get bonus points for that. And I love the audiobook, so I will enjoy getting to listen to that again. Another comfort reread is going to be The Lost Warrior, Warrior's Refuge, and Warrior's Return. This is a bind-up of them. These are manga in the Warriors series. I have been doing a reread / first read of this entire series, and I have read Gray Stripes Adventures before, so I thought this was a good time to knock them off my list during my reread. I've got Dark Whispers by Vashti Hardy. This is the second book in the Bright Storm series. This is a middle grade fantasy, and I read the first book during Believe-A-Thon 3, and I really enjoyed it, and I'm excited to get to the second book. I've got Crossing the Black Ice Bridge by Alex Bell. This is the third book in the Polar Bear Explorers Club series. The first book in this series is one of my favorite books I've read this year, so I am really looking forward to what happens in book 3. I'm currently in the middle of book 2 and loving it, so I am excited to be able to continue right on into book 3 once I get done with book 2. Saga Volume 1 by Brian K. Vaughan. I have heard so many people rave about this series, and I don't know if it's going to be for me, but I figured this was a good time to give it a go, as I believe it is a host fave, which would get me bonus points. So yeah, I figured this was a good time to check it out and see if I was interested in reading this series that seems so popular with a lot of the booktubers I follow. I've also got the Tea Dragon Festival by Katie O'Neill. This is the second book in the Tea Dragon Society series. This is a cute, like, graphic novel series, and I thought the first book was absolutely adorable, and I'm very curious to see what happens in this one, and it's a bit thicker than the first one, so I feel like there might be a little bit more plot to it, and the Tea Dragons are just so cute, man, and I'm really looking forward to continuing on with this series. I've got Snapdragon by Kate Leigh. This is another graphic novel. It says, Snapstown has a witch, at least that's the rumor. In reality, Jax is just a Crocs-wearing, internet-savvy old lady who sells the skeletons of roadkill online. It's creepy, sure, but Snap thinks it's kind of cool, too. Snap needs a favor from this old woman, though, so she begins helping Jax with her strange work. Snap gets to know her and realizes that Jax may, in fact, have real magic and an unlikely connection to Snap's family's past. So I think this is a middle grade, and again, I'm trying to read as many middle grades as I possibly can. If not, it is still a graphic novel, so it should be a quick and easy read to get through. Next, Where the Mountain Meets the Moon by Grace Lynn. I don't know much about this, but I've heard a lot of people rave about it on BookTube, including Gavin, because Gavin absolutely loves this book, so it seems like a good time to get through it, and I know that there's stories within it, and there's full color drawings, so I'm looking forward to maybe getting to check that one out. I have A Good Kind of Trouble by Lisa Moore Remy. This says 12-year-old Shayla is allergic to trouble. All she wants to do is follow the rules. Oh, and she'd like to make it through 7th grade with her best friendships intact. Learn to run track and have a cute boy see past her giant forehead. But in junior high, it's like all the rules have changed. Now she's suddenly questioning who her best friends are, and some people at school are saying she's not black enough. Wait, what? Shay's sister Hannah is involved in Black Lives Matter, but Shay doesn't think that's for her. After experiencing a powerful protest, though, Shay decides some rules are worth breaking. She starts wearing an armband to school in support of the Black Lives Movement. Soon, everyone is taking sides, and she is given an ultimatum. Shay is scared to do the wrong thing, and even more scared to do the right thing. But if she doesn't face her fears, she'll be forever tripping over the next hurdle. Now that's trouble, for real. So this should cover my POC rep prompt, and it definitely sounds super interesting and very current to what is going on in our world today. So I'm quite looking forward to reading that one, and that's probably higher on my priority list once I get through the books I have to read. And lastly, I have The Invention of Hugo Cabaret by Brian Selznick. So what's cool about this book is, even though it's a brick, part of it is told in drawings. Half the book, I believe. I don't know much about this book other than the fact that I believe one point of view is told in drawings and the other one isn't. I read Wonderstruck by Brian Selznick, which has the same concept, and really loved it. So when I saw that he had another book in the same style, I wanted to read it. So we'll see if I can get to that one in June as well. So these are some of the books I hope to get to in the month of June. What are some books you hope to get to in the month of June? Also, are you taking part in Whatever-A-Thon? If so, let me know what team you're on in the description below. If you've made it this far in the video, leave me a rainbow emoji, like this video, and subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!